Hey guys, Crypto Sunday, and it's been a red week for sure. It's not quite as bad as the total would suggest. I've been obviously moving some of my crypto out into trading 212, basically buying the ETFs and selling sort of an equivalent amount of real crypto in the wallets. Sort of yeah, take a capital gains hit on that, but going to have to take it at some point, and then sort of hopefully crypto's at a reasonable sort of price that I can get some capital gains tax free price gain in the ISA. So yeah, the actual portfolio's down about 12%, about 43,000 this week, and then yeah, the rest of that is selling half a Bitcoin and 5 Ethereum, which I sort of didn't do at exactly the same time, sort of getting a little bit greedy. I bought I bought the ETFs and was sort of overweight a little bit, and then Bitcoin sort of rose up to I think 116,000, and I sold my half a Bitcoin then. So there's a little bit of gain there, which was quite handy. That went into trading 212 to be spent on other things. So yeah, interesting week. So interesting week. Looking at the CoinShares report, we are 360 million in outflows for the week. It's mostly come from Bitcoin. There was actually a small inflow to Ethereum. This is the week before last. Next report is going to look remarkably worse, it looks like. But yeah, finally got a little bit of inflow into the multi-asset funds, which have been coming down for a long while. And Solana, of course, we had the some of the Sol ETFs starting to launch, and they got 421 million in 1 week. So 10 times what XRP got. XRP was on top for quite a number of weeks, so that's pretty good. 9 million into Sui as well. Whether that it seems to sort of do very similar to Solana quite often, so that's interesting. 1.5 into Litecoin, a little bit into Cardano, and then 43 million into other ETFs. So other than all of this lot, 43 million. I would think they have to start breaking out some of these, like why are they showing Cardano and Zcash when it's had, nothing basically for the month when there's 43 million going into other products. So yeah, a little bit strange. And by country, it's still Germany and Switzerland sort of getting the majority of this inflow, which I suppose I would have expected to see a larger one from the US. But I'm guessing this is the BSOL US ETF now. So US as a whole is only 400 million down, where they were 946 million down on Bitcoin. Most of that is going to be US. So yeah, a little bit of being all over the place at the moment, but we're hoping for better times. As I say, we're not getting better times in that next report. It's been pretty awful. Looking at sort of last 5 days, we got a negative for BlackRock on the Monday, and then zeros for everyone else. A zero from BlackRock, and then 356 million out of Fidelity, which isn't the biggest fund. So that's 3% or so out of the whole fund. It's quite a lot. And 128 from ARK, which is even more. It's not. I should say the whole fund isn't worth 12 billion. The inflows are 12 billion, so it's had price gain since there. It's not 3% of the fund, but you get the idea. 12 billion has gone in, and 350 million has come out in just that day. Continued selling from Grayscale, of course. And then, Wednesday, we got a large outflow from BlackRock and inflows into everywhere else, but ended up negative. a sort of slightly green day across the board on Thursday, and then back to the red, 558 million outflow. So that's going to be a heavily negative week, certainly for Bitcoin. And Ethereum, not exactly looking much better, to be honest. Sort of 130s, 200 outflows, 118, and then did get a slightly positive day on Thursday, but nothing to be too happy about. And then Friday, yeah, positive into BlackRock, but 72 million out of the Fidelity one. They're sort of certainly selling. So yeah, 46 million negative on the Friday. So it's quite a negative for Ethereum as well. Solana, though, guessing just because it's relatively new, but they have yet to see an outflow day. Certainly on the BSOL one and on Grayscale. Grayscale sort of seeing a lot less of the flows. To be fair, it's 0.35% as opposed to 0.2 from Bitwise, so you can see why people would go with that. Grayscale seem to, on Bitcoin and Ethereum, be wanting the cheapest fund, but they've not gone that way on Solana. But yeah, looking pretty good. 65 million in on Monday, and then 13, 7, 29 million, and 11 million in on Friday, which was quite a red day. And the Tuesday and Wednesday were quite red on the others as well. So doing well for Solana. There's obviously fairly keen interest in it, and it doesn't have the enormous sort of backlog from the last year that people would want to be selling. I suppose it's a relatively new ETF. It had 200 million in seed capital, but it's only sort of a couple of weeks old. I can't imagine those people are sort of going to want to instantly sell. So and on the treasury companies, or the ones that sort of Mr. Saylor at least wants to highlight, it's still a bit of a ghost town. Strategy bought 397. I don't think Metaplanet have done theirs. They were sort of talking about doing a debt offering in Europe. I think they were talking about to buy more Bitcoin. Sort of struggling to find new ways of doing it. Some of the sort of derivative products from Strategy are doing okay, and Mr. Saylor is highlighting that. But I still sort of think all of the gain for these products has largely, been and gone. They got the money and bought the Bitcoin, and now it's just have to keep paying out that yield, as far as I understand, by selling MSTR shares. So yeah, it's not one that I sort of want to be holding out too much hope for. So we're getting Masari reports for Q3 ending September, and yeah, I thought have a quick look at XRP. I always have a look at the key metrics one. I don't go through the whole thing because it's not a token I hold anymore, but being in top 5, I always think I should at least cover it. And yeah, it's not looking ideal. Transaction fees sort of down 25%. I don't see much point in focusing on market cap and price too much. That's sort of excitement about the future. Admittedly, the price is up, token price is up 27%, market cap up 29%, because they keep releasing tokens into the market, of course. But daily active addresses down 29% after being down in Q2 as well. So did reach a peak of 127,000, and this is all sort of drastically lower than other chains like Solana. Maybe these customers are more important customers, worth sort of 10 times a Solana customer, but yeah, I'm not sure I see it. Daily transactions 1.8 million, down from up from last quarter, down sort of from the peak, and so yeah, you've got 53,000 people doing 1.8 million transactions, so they're quite active people, I suppose. New addresses 447,000, so still a lot of people coming in, but not exactly massive numbers. And issued currencies, I think that's tokens, sort of on top of the XRP Ledger, 364 million. Some of these numbers sort of not looking ideal. NFT transactions up 51%, so that's quite strong. But 76,000 transactions, or $76,000 worth of transactions. It's not really a huge amount, and I never thought they were intending to be an NFT chain. So yeah, for being sort of a top 5 token, this doesn't seem a whole lot of activity, which I have always thought. Looking at Solana's report, which obviously was more keen to look at, even though I sort of may not hold much of any Solana these days, but hopefully it can all come back. Looking at their key metrics, so yeah, market cap is up in Q3, but don't really sort of put too much attention on that. Real economic value, this is sort of a little bit of a strange metric, but is back to the more sort of Q3 last year levels, down from the sort of Trump coin bonanza and all that. Average daily fee payers, I do think this is a good metric to focus on. You sort of have, some people that'll log into their wallet and check balances and that sort of thing and then log off. That's not really a daily active user as such. So somebody that actually does something and pays a fee for it is at 2.8 million people. So compared to XRP's, 53,000 people, that's staggering difference. To be fair, it's down 29% from 3.9 million, and sort of the peak of 5.1 million was in the Trump coin days. Yeah, it's not ideal, but could be worse. It's up from 50% up from Q3 last year. Active validators is down 9% again. Some of the FTX validators, I believe, coming offline, but yeah, under 1,000 validators now. Would have sort of liked to have seen that increasing a little bit. They have their chain GDP, so yeah, sort of total value of various projects on the platform, sort of down a little bit, but not a whole lot. DeFi TVL up 32%. That's quite a lot. 11.5 billion. Quite a number to have on there, to be fair. And DEX volume at 4 billion, which is pretty good. I think that 17% is wrong though. Up from this is sort of up on last quarter. It's certainly not up on this quarter last year because it's triple that. So yeah, I think they got that 17% wrong. Stable coins at 14.1 billion, which is pretty good. You can see that from the graph a little bit later. Their ecosystem, there's not a huge amount sort of added in here other than real world assets at 682 million, which again they do a little chart of that later on. NFT volume pretty much the same as last quarter, way down from the peak, and they are funding some more projects, which is always good. Yeah, whether they're sort of, that means people are not organically wanting to build anyway and they need sort of funding, you never know, but I suppose you've got to fund some of this stuff. This is perp dex volume, so your 100x leverage crazy people. Trading is sort of going quite well, sort of pretty much equaling the it was Q1 Trump coin launch, of course, not Q4, but yeah, pretty much equaling that time in the last month. So that's good, I suppose. It probably does mean people losing a fortune, but you would hope they know what they're getting themselves in for. There we go. Stable coins looking pretty good. It's sort of had been on a little drift down through the start of Q3, but then sort of was trickling up and then rocketed up to a new high in the last month. It looks like So 14 billion, most of that being USDC, which is interesting. USDT sort of still an Ethereum and Tron chain largely, but they have got 2.4 billion. Not sure what USDG is. I think I may have looked into that before. And the PayPal one, 445 million. They can't seem to get a huge amount of traction on that. So yeah, it's USDC. I believe they still, I can't remember whether they still say Solana is the official chain of USDC, even though it's got sort of a minority of the share. But yeah, good news on the stable coins. RWA looking pretty good. Biddle, this is the BlackRock sort of real world assets fund. They've got 175 million on Solana, so that's pretty good, up from sort of basically nothing. It just sort of started in looks like March time, and yeah, looking quite good. Sort of lots of different funds going on Solana. This is, you know, a tiny amount compared to sort of what Ethereum has, but you know, potentially they might like the sort of cheaper fees and potentially broader ecosystem and speed and things that you get from Solana, rather than sort of doing it on layer ones, layer twos like Base and other chains, you know, under Ethereum, because this isn't on the main Ethereum chain, I don't think, all these RWA stuff. And then they give their little rundown of sort of gaming developments and things. You can sort of have a read through these on your own. I sort of had a quick read. Things sort of looking okay. Nothing sort of really jumped out at me. Hive Mapper, you know, they give me the sort of bad news, I suppose, good news. You know, the token seems to hate it no matter what the news. They have mapped 13.6 million unique miles, 36% of the world's roads. It doesn't seem to make a huge difference, although June, NBC Universal became a customer, and in July, VW announced that they're using B maps in their autonomous testing. So, you know, these sort of little news bits do come out sometimes when they're just doing like a week's worth of testing and then stop, and you know, 3 months later people will still be saying VW are a customer because, you know, of this one small testing phase. They're sort of, yeah, it's always a little bit painting things with a rosy brush, to be honest, but I suppose people are going to do that in a, you know, a growing sort of technology. This seemed interesting, sort of decentralized science. Yeah, I think people are just putting D in front of all sorts of things these days, but sort of focusing, you know, decentralized power from sort of thousands of different computers and things to potentially find cures or treatments for diseases. So you've got a number of sort of announcements and teams and things here trying to, you know, drive a bit of scientific research. So if it can do, you know, anything in this, I would say that is, you know, something to sort of show the world that crypto has a little bit of real use. If it is made easier by crypto in some way, then that's good. That's real world usage. And some more infrastructure stuff as well, which is always good. We need the Fire Dancer chain going on Solana to sort of push speed, basically. Oh yeah, and transactions. So actually, the Solana users are pretty active. 95.9 million transactions, non-vote transactions. So, you know, voting on protocol upgrades and things doesn't count as usage, although that is down 15%. Non-vote transactions, I would say, is what you should be focusing on. And yeah, the users are doing sort of what 35 times 35 transactions per person, if you like, per day, which is pretty strong. So daily signers is people that sort of, you know, basically sign into their wallet and don't really do anything. So there actually isn't you know, you would say the majority here, 3/4 of the people that sign into their wallet are actually making a fee-paying transaction, which is pretty good. It's not a lot of just checkers. I think I would count as a checker. I'll often sort of just log in and sort of check the prices of things, check anything's happening, and not actually do anything. So I'm in this quarter. And I always like to check on fees as well. This is looking pretty good. Average transaction fee in dollars, it's 1.2 cents, so that's up ever so slightly. And the transaction fee, I always prefer median transaction fee because this is what the majority of people are going to be paying or close to it, and it's 1/10 of the mean average. So that sort of means there's 10% of people or 5%, whatever it is, at the top, sort of happy to pay quite a bit more. Obviously, 1 cent, you know, isn't exactly an enormous amount. Maybe some people are paying sort of 10 cents or something, and that's pushing the average up. And the majority of people pay 1/10, well, just over 1/10 of a cent, up a little bit from last quarter. And that is partly because Sol has increased in price. If you look at the transaction fee in Sol, certainly since the sort of Trump time, it was, you know, point many zeros 9, and then 8, 7, and now 6 this quarter. So in Sol terms, it's coming down, transaction fee coming down, which I think is very helpful. So there's loads of stuff as always in here. You can take a look yourself if you're invested. I think it's worth having a look at. Certainly, you know, once every 3 months, it's a great little report. So coming on to the Bitcoin miners, we have had hash rate sort of coming down ever so slightly. Sort of it's back to the 1 to 1.1 zettahash range, which is certainly helpful, spiking up a little bit to 1.2, but nothing above that. And we've had a little bit of time under 1 zettahash, so that's certainly helpful. That has brought down the estimate, at least. You know, we're at 155.97, but the estimate at least is down 2.76. 10.28 minutes at the moment. That's a little bit too much, and this is coming assuming on Wednesday, so only down to, you know, 151.68. Not ideal, but it is down a little bit at least. And the liquidity chart, I think we're probably saying this correlation is largely dead for the minute, unless it's just an enormous divergence. We're sort of at the point again where global liquidity is starting to increase slightly. I think, well, in the next few days, maybe a small decrease, but it's trickling up sort of over the next 4 weeks. And yeah, we're still sort of down at 102,000, sort of threatening and breaking 100,000 a couple of times now, where you would expect us to be sort of breaking all-time highs. So yeah, this crocodile jaws pattern, if you like, price going down and liquidity going up, continues to get wider and wider. And coins for the week, obviously everything is quite heavily in the red. Even Bitcoin down 8% for the week, not ideal. Sol down 14.6%, Ethereum down 12%, Chainlink down 12.6%, Helium actually not doing too bad, 0.6% down. I'm pretty happy with that. Metaplex, though, underperformer for the week, 26.5% down. So that's not helpful at all. Radium down 17%, Jito down 19%, and Honey, even though it's, you know, admittedly languishing down the bottom, it is down 6.7%. So actually I need to adjust that down a little bit. I think that's, where are we? 0.00942. So So yeah, that's looking crap. Down 85%. He's basically write it off time and at least get a little bit of tax loss back potentially. But yeah, it's rough. We're sort of hoping next year is going to break the 4-year cycle time, and sort of the halving doesn't actually mean a lot anymore. And we've become, or crypto has become, a macro sort of asset class. And, next year can be a good year rather than being the sort of 2018, 2014, 2022 sort of 4-year cycle down year. So we'll see. Leave your thoughts in the comments below and like and subscribe. See you soon.